I am so exhausted by the ignorant, tired rhetoric, especially here in the South, in the Bible Belt. Nashville had a raid of a Hispanic community. A bunch of people were body snatched. Of course, no warrants, no actual anything. They were celebrating with cigars. Some dumbass fucker on Facebook is like, you need to understand that just like American citizens, they have to have their paperwork and ID on them at all times. No American citizen is required by law to have their ID at all times, but I don't expect you to actually know the law. Then he says, the Constitution only applies to citizens. No, it doesn't. Because our forefathers were smart men. When they wanted something to apply to just citizens, they said citizen. When they wanted it to apply to all people, they said person. The First Amendment, free speech, the right to assemble, qualifies for everyone, regardless of immigration status. So does this thing called due process. And that's where I get real pissed off. Because there's this whole rhetoric of the Democrats are trying to keep criminals in this car. First of all, being undocumented is not a crime. It's a civil matter. Second of all, in order to be a criminal in the eyes of the law, you have to what? Be convicted of a crime, which means you get due process and you go before a judge. I am all for someone losing their immigration status if they are convicted of a violent crime and then send them home. That's common sense. What I'm not cool with is body snatching people, shipping them off without due process, because I know that if you can do it to anyone, you can do it to me and people that I care about. And then this whole thing is like, Democrats try to take your guns away. I own guns, you mother. And I always have. I think that all women should have small arms training and self-defense classes, because since we live in a culture that won't change the laws and the education around assault, maybe if they decide they're going to put their hands on a woman, we send them to the hands of a coroner, they'll think about it a little bit more. It's absolutely preposterous. But I also think that a semi-automatic weapon that can be outfitted with a bump stock, that can do 200 rounds a minute, should be harder to get than a revolver. If immigrants hate Christians, no. We want you to stop shoving it down everybody's throat and honor other people's religion, because the only people religiously persecuting others is you. Now, I understand that these are all straw man arguments that, well, if you disagree, you must want the complete other extreme instead of, hey, how about we just let people live how they want to live? Like, what a fucking concept. If you don't want a gay marriage, don't get one. If you like the gender you are, cool. Doesn't mean somebody else has to. It literally has no negative impact on your fucking life. It makes no fucking sense. We're gonna spend a ton of money doing what? A military parade for a draft dodger instead of making people have affordable homes or like feeding kids at school? You're joking.